a long time, sequels to Disney animated movies were created primarily for straight-to-video home releases. These movies were often received as lower in quality, although many of them were still quite underrated at the time. While they rarely matched the original in terms of scope and depth, the stronger entries still provided beloved characters with new challenges to grow and learn from. Thanks though to the success of sequels from studios such as DreamWorks and Pixar, Disney's animation studio has become more ambitious with their theatrical releases for the sequels. Whether it's a 2D hand-drawn film from Disney's Renaissance era or a modern 3D big-budget production, the studio is building an impressive library of animated sequels. Welcome to Popcorn Programming, and here is our list of the 10 best Disney animated sequels ever. Pap pap! In number 10 we have Peter Pan Return to Neverland, that had a stronger protagonist than the original Peter Pan movie. Peter is the boy who never ages, however unfortunately for Wendy, she does. When Peter returns to visit Wendy, he ends up meeting her daughter Jane. Jane is someone who never really believed Wendy's tales of Neverland, however she is unexpectedly pulled into the magical world when Captain Hook abducts her. Jane stands out as one of the stronger female characters of the era. Unlike Wendy, she is far less passive and much more outspoken. The animation in this sequel is also a significant improvement over the original Peter Pan, and it does feature a decent selection of original songs, though they aren't as memorable as many others from the same period. In number 9 we have Fantasia 2000, that had some of the most memorable musical set pieces in Disney's vault. The Fantasia movies are hit and miss. The films revolve around contemporary musical pieces and lack an overarching plot or dialogue, which can make them a bit harder to connect with. For those who appreciate the fine art though, Fantasia and Fantasia 2000 offer wonderful opportunities to experience classical music while viewing ambitious and innovative art. Fantasia 2000 was released decades after the original, bringing a major upgrade in animation technology, especially with the use of CGI. It also introduces jazz to the mix, featuring Rhapsody in Blue with dynamic visuals of the Roaring Twenties. Fantasia 2000 also pays homage to the original with its adaptation of the iconic Sorcerer's Apprentice bit. In number 8 we have Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has Got a Glitch, which pushes the power of friendship to its limits. There are a lot of cute jokes in Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch. They don't carry much depth though. The movie often feels quite immature, and many of his characters are oversimplified. However, it does introduce an interesting plot point. That is that Stitch develops a defect that causes him to become hostile, which creates a rift between him and Lilo. Stitch antagonises Lilo for much of the movie as they prepare for a competition. Their friendship is fully tested when Stitch actually dies due to the defect. Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch takes a darker turn and adds emotional depth to Lilo's character, testing the bond between Lilo and Stitch. In number 7 we have The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, that did justice to Romeo and Juliet. The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride never really had a chance of surpassing its predecessor, which is often praised as one of the greatest animated movies of all time. However, The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride decided to model its plot after a different Shakespeare play, just as the original did. Instead of adapting Hamlet, however, like the original Lion King, the sequel takes inspiration from Romeo and Juliet. Simba's daughter and Scar's son fall in love, and naturally this causes conflict. Romeo and Juliet makes for a brilliant premise, but Simba's characterization gets lost in translation in this adaptation. Simba is forced to become more stern, resembling more of Mufasa rather than the character people knew and loved, even if this is all for plot reasons. While there's still a good amount of tension and some feel-good moments in The Lion King 2, it could have been much stronger if they found a way for Simba to oppose his daughter's relationship while still maintaining the positive traits that defined him. In number 6 we have The Rescuers Down Under, which was the original Disney sequel. The Rescuers is a somewhat obscure franchise in Disney's history, with the original having a quiet release back in 1977. However, it does hold some historical significance as the first Disney animated movie to have a sequel that went to cinemas. The Rescuers Down Under had a bigger budget, better animation, and stronger performances to support its incredibly explosive and adventurous plot. The Rescuers Down Under is much more action-oriented than its predecessor. The plot takes a back seat with many set pieces featuring the characters navigating the dangers of the outback. While The Rescuers Down Under has been surpassed by several Disney sequels, it was a solid first attempt at a theatrical release. In number 5 we have an extremely goofy movie that made for a great father-son bonding movie. Max is off to college to party and avoid his dad cramping his style. Sadly for Max though, Goofy gets laid off and decides to get an education. As one can imagine, Goofy tries everything he can to be cool, but ends up doing really lame things like dressing up in a disco outfit and dancing like it's the 70s. There is more father-son bonding in an extremely goofy movie compared to a Goofy movie. It's a more positive film overall, and aesthetically, it features beautifully painted backgrounds. While an extremely goofy movie doesn't do anything too outside the box, it does retain much of the humour and charm of the previous film while telling a very different story. If you want just a good time though, put these on, they'll take you less than 3 hours, and the plots aren't particularly memorable, and they're possibly the lowest stakes films ever, but they're a good time. In number 4 though, we have Frozen 2, that had more mature themes than most Disney movies. Although the plot of Frozen 2 was quite convoluted, it did aim to be different from Frozen. Frozen 2 tackles darker and more mature themes than its predecessor, and most Disney movies in general, including critiques of colonialism and the exploitation of indigenous cultures, with numerous analogies to the Sami people. The film also focuses heavily on environmentalism and protecting nature. There is a clear influence of Nordic-inspired culture, particularly in the art and the interpretation of magic in the world's myths. Aside from the confusing plot though, Frozen 2 also suffers from its music. While the first Frozen featured some of the most popular songs of all time, Frozen 2's musical pieces were mostly forgettable and felt more suited to a straight-to-video movie than a blockbuster musical. In number 3, we have The Lion King 1.5, that some might say even surpassed the original. Borrowing from a play that follows two minor characters' points of view in Hamlet, The Lion King 1.5 does the same, but this time with Timon and Pumbaa. The film serves as both a prequel and a sequel to The Lion King, showing many of the things that Timon and Pumbaa were up to while Simba was growing into a man. Compared to The Lion King 2, The Lion King 1.5 was much more upbeat, clever with its dialogue, and significantly better animated. There is a strange subplot where Timon acts like Simba's dad, but other than that, The Lion King 1.5 stays true to the characteristics that everyone knows and loves, which is actually a rarity for Disney sequels. In number 2, we have Aladdin and the King of Thieves, which explored some of Aladdin's darker roots. If fans want to try and understand what to do and what not to do with a sequel, they can examine the differences between Aladdin the Return of Jafar and Aladdin and the King of Thieves. The Return of Jafar is a relatively pointless movie where none of the main characters have meaningfully progressed since their last appearance. Jafar is rehashed and essentially repeats the same problem from the final act of Aladdin, however stretches that across the entire film. Aladdin and the King of Thieves, however, shows Aladdin a new stage in his life. He's happy and married, but ghosts from his past come back to haunt him. The film explores Aladdin's heritage and challenges him in ways that mystical genies cannot. In addition, Robin Williams is back reprising his role as a genie, and as always he truly shines. And number 1, we have Ralph Breaks the Internet to show the dangers attachments to the internet can pose. Wreck-It Ralph was a brilliant breakdown of a video game inspired world. Ralph Breaks the Internet took it one step further, with Ralph and the gang travelling through cyberspace. For a kids movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet does offer brilliant commentaries on many of the social norms in internet culture. The film touches on everything from DDoS attacks and clickbait agents to diving into the dark web. The video game isn't entirely abandoned at all. Ralph finds himself trapped in a battle royale style game similar to PUBG or Fortnite, which were incredibly popular back in 2018. Ralph Breaks the Internet added an even bigger budget than its predecessor and stands as Disney's best effort at creating a credible sequel in the modern era. And there you have it, there is our list. So what do you think? Which Disney animated sequel is your favourite? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up, look at the subscribe button if you are new around here. That's all for now, so thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Pop pop!